Well, gracious, good day, everyone. I am Jann Arden. You're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. In case you were wondering where your dial had landed today, I am coming to you from Reykjavik, Iceland. Reykjavik. And I'm here, of course, with Sarah Burke, Caitlin Green. They are in their respective Toronto abodes. And later on in the show, I would be remiss not to tell you that one of the most prolific and influential crime writers pretty much of all time. Like, seriously, she goes back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, responsible for Prime Suspect, of course, that put Helen Mirren on the map when she played Tennyson, the main character in La Plante's, I believe it was a trilogy of Prime Suspect. But anyway, she's got a brand new series that's coming out. She's done many, many, many books, sold millions of them, but she's going to be with us the second half of the show. She's a really interesting broad. She is in her early 80s, and she just has some great things to say about living in life. But yeah, bringing me back to the girls, what is going on in the worlds of Caitlin and Sarah this week?
Caitlin's got a little curl. Let's start with Caitlin.
Ooh!
Check us out on YouTube. Hey.
I had some virtual hits this morning, and I always try to look at least sort of like professional from the waist up when I do that because it's all just done virtually. But also, I had an IRL photo shoot for the kit last week.
It was so nice.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
saw
the
it.
photos you posted?
Yeah, and I hate having my
Nice.
photos taken so much. And because I feel like for some reason in my years in media, whenever I had new photos taken, I always look like a realtor, like the arms crossed.
Everybody looks like a realtor at some point.
Yeah, and I think I also would go into the spaces and like talk to the photographers, and I'd find out like, oh, I used to photograph Sunshine Girls, and I just thought this isn't going to be an energetic match. And so I went to the Toronto Star's office, which is down at Spadina in front, really beautiful building, like part of the Well, kind of where that all is, not far from
I
you,
love
Jan.
the Well.
Isn't it so great? I just walked around afterwards, like basking in the glow of a nice photo shoot. And when I got there, their editor, Rani Sheen, she walked me up, and she's just so lovely. And I went into their like portrait studio, and it was the most like well lit thing I've ever seen, and it felt weirdly dark. And then the second the flash went off and they showed me the photos, I was like, this is maybe the best I've ever looked. And they just were so good and so natural, and I was dying. I was texting with Meredith Shaw because she has her photo taken a lot as a model, and I was like, do you have tips for your friend who looks like a potato with
What
arms?
do we do with our hands?
I look like the Kool-Aid man in most of my photos that are taken. So she did have good advice. And we were just laughing because I was like 15 years working in media, and my first like organic external coverage is for a haircut. Like it was for an article about cutting off all your hair. But yeah, it was really fun. So that was cool. And then we bid on and lost a house, which was an emotional roller coaster.
Oh.
So tell me about it. It's obviously very, very competitive in Toronto.
Yeah, super
You guys
competitive.
are presently on what floor of your condo building?
We're on the 7th floor, so the top
Seventh
floor of our
floor.
building. Yeah.
So my
And
condo
maybe-
is the 8th floor.
Okay.
And the market. What's the market like too?
Yeah.
Give us a little
Exactly.
background.
Give us a lowdown.
So the market is soft for everything all around compared to what it has been in years past. I would say this is a correction to like closer to where it should be. By no means is housing affordable. It is not affordable. But houses that were overvalued, like sheer dumps that you would have to gut that were selling for like $1.7 or $8 million have dropped in price. But they're still expensive. So we see a house that we really like, and we've already sold our place. So we have a move out date. So
When
we're like
is that?
end of June. So we do have a bit of time.
Okay.
But that's not like crazy. A 60 to 90 day close can be.
No.
Yeah. And we know that we're going to likely have to do some renovations. So there's a lot to happen soon. Anyway, so we went in, we made a bully offer because that's when there's an offer night listed for houses. And if they're open to it, that means they'll accept a higher, like an above asking price earlier. So we go in with what we think is a very generous bully offer over asking. Oh, 4 other people had the same idea. So until, 9:30 at night, we're getting calls. We're like, and then what about this? Offer that, add this. We're just doing this back and forth with our realtor. I don't know how she does this for a living. It would kill me from stress. And we didn't get the house. We lost it to someone who bid more. But you know what? It was okay because I think the house was overvalued. You have to kind of keep your head about you in that bidding process. Like you have to still tell yourself, am I going to be able to extract value from this house. It's an investment at this price point, and it just didn't make sense to us. So we lost out, and we would have had to do a serious reno. So we're back on the hunt, but that stunk.
You know, the fewer renovations you have to do, really, it would behoove you to find something more or less move-in ready. I think redoing a bathroom is okay, or like updating a sink in the kitchen, or, oh gosh, we can probably keep these cupboards and refinish them and paint them, but it's great wood and it's great quality, and maybe reconfigure them. You know, remember, kitchens are always cubed up. Those can always come off the wall, and you can reconfigure the stuff you already have. Anyway, I know this because I am renovating my dad's shop with Tiffany Pratt. Tiffany Pratt, who just was the head designer of the home show. And she knocked it out of the park in Toronto. I mean,
she had like a live speaking portion. She's so good.
Yeah. She blew people's mind. Tommy Smythe sent me a picture of her and him. I just say this because we were talking about renos and it made me think of her. But he's just like, Jan, nobody could have done this but Tiffany. And I say it also because she's a friend of our show and has been here a few times talking about that. Anyway, I'm sorry you didn't get the house. I think there's other things that will come your way. And I know you're probably thinking where Will's going to go to school and neighborhoods and what does the yard look like. And
there's so many factors.
You'll find stuff.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be doing it and moving forward. We were fortunate in that we had a private sale of our condo, and I think we did well.
So that went through.
It went through, exactly, yes. I think it went really well for us and, advantageous for all parties. It was a good price. The condo market is very soft. I mean, if you think the housing market is soft, the condo market in Toronto is very soft. But yeah, and then you guys would appreciate this. We went to the ROM this weekend. Will is obsessed with dinosaurs. We went to the ROM. We saw the dinosaurs. We saw the sharks. And I also watched the new Netflix dinosaurs quote unquote documentary. It's all like animated CGI, but it's Steven Spielberg, Morgan Freeman voices it, and I think it might be my favorite show I've seen in a long time. I am obsessed with dinosaurs again. I was as a kid, and now me and Will are like very into this. So we watched it together all weekend. We finished it, and then we went to the ROM. So that was very cute. And I need to take him to Drumheller, Jan, near you. It's going to have to happen at some point.
Crazy town.
Yeah.
Crazy town. Mini Grand Canyon.
Exactly.
Anyway. Yeah. Sarah, what have you been up to? What's happening?
I just want to let you know, Caitlin, that I am thinking of Airbnb-ing my place for World Cup.
Oh, yes.
So I would totally just make a deal with you on the side. If you guys end up homeless for a month, just know that I got you. Okay.
Okay, good. I'm covered.
Yeah. Although I feel like it would be a trek to daycare. That's the only thing that would suck for you.
Yeah.
Because daycare right now,
it's like that your place, like west end of the city, or we're going to be in like Halifax.
Caitlin, listen to me. Listen to me. If you are stuck, stay at my condo.
Oh, right. The Jando. Okay.
There's so many options. You just screwed me.
I well, no, I mean, I can't Airbnb there. Like there's none of that. It's just, there is a sticker on the door that said no to that. And I would never go against the rules. I really love the admin of my building.
You have a great building.
But keep that in mind.
I'm going to.
If you guys are truly stuck and you're looking at like 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, you might have to put up with me sleeping there a couple of nights if I have work or something. But you guys could squeeze me in.
I'm serious.
We can make it work.
Will will crawl into bed with you. He loves sharing a bed.
Well, you guys could 3 of you sleep in the big bed, and I'll sleep in the queen size bed. We could work it out.
Okay,
seriously.
Great. Can't wait.
Me and Poppy might just need to be there. We could have family dinners. Oh, God, it'll be so great.
Great.
And 5-6 years will go by. We'll still be there living happily.
My house won't be done.
Thordis is like, there needs to be some separation here, guys.
Yeah, we need to have a talk. We
Will's
need to have a
you
talk.
Mom.
Yeah. It's so funny. Oh, my God. But also, we'll put a pin in that. Like, that could be great. I was also thinking, like, oh, so I shouldn't talk to these guys about the live show right now because Caitlin's going to be in the middle of a move, but I'm going to talk to you about a live show at the end of our recording today. So I joined a Legion this weekend.
Yes, the Legion.
Yep. Got lots of exercise. Dan brought his bike down, and I feel like I've mentioned this on the show before. My boyfriends in the past with bike riding, it's been indoor in the Oculus. Okay. It's been non-existent, and I love bike riding.
Okay.
So when he said, I'm throwing my bike in the truck, I was so excited. We made it out for like a good 30K all the way to the East End and back.
Oh.
Couple bar stops on the way, snacks, drinks, so fun. Joined the Legion on the way home because we went in for a drink there.
For those who don't know, please,
Yes.
a small background on Legion.
You would pay like a yearly membership.
In the war, during the
Yeah.
war, let's go back and explain what a
Okay.
Legion is.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have to look this up? It's like you're donating to the
You
veterans.
don't
That's all I
know?
know.
Yeah.
It was a club made for veterans.
Yeah.
It was a Legion's club. I went there my entire life with my grandfather who fought in the Second World War in Italy, which is kind of an oxymoron because I don't think they were fighting in Italy. The Italians kept joining the side that was winning. Like they were kind of nutty that way.
So it's their 100th anniversary this year, I will tell you, and anyone can join the Royal Canadian Legion for free this year. But they have contests. If you pay ahead for your 2027, you get a chance to win like a Dodge Ram or whatever. So anyway, I was very excited
I'm
to
gonna
go.
join.
Everyone should. It goes towards the veterans, right?
Yeah.
The money. So met the president, this cute, adorable woman, Mary, who I'm just saying hi to Mary. She's like, let me give you a tour. She takes us out lakefront patio.
So I was going to say,
this is
you're at the one on the west end, not far from the X.
not far from the X.
Yeah,
It's
I know
like
the one.
right after you get up the hill, which is you die on the bike ride up the hill. So like treat yourself to a drink at the Legion when you get up the hill. So excited. And like, I can see myself working there on the patio. She's like, we got Wi-Fi. You do whatever you got to do here. So I'm excited. And they have a big St. Patty's party
Oh, yeah, they
coming
do.
up. And like, guess where I'm going to be?
My friend got married there, and it was
Really?
absolutely, it was beautiful. It was a great
They
spot.
do
'cause, like,
events. Yeah.
yeah, it's right on the water. It's a really stunning
Yeah.
spot in Toronto. Like that location would cost a fortune, and it's so nice that it goes
Yes.
to the Legion. And also a hack if you're in town for the air show or fireworks ever, it is the best view of the air show and fireworks in the whole city, probably.
This just keeps getting better and better.
Join the
I
Legion.
would
knew?
say
Who
right-
knew? Do you think the Legion would like to sponsor the Jann Arden pod?
Well,
know?
I can talk to Mary.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Mary and
Well,
see what's up.
Mary, we'll get you some members going in, Mary.
Yeah.
Mare. Yeah, but we took the kids we picked up in Toronto because his ex was in Toronto this weekend, and we took them bike riding. Like he has the seat on the bike for the little one and then a like pull behind thing for the older one. So we were like a bike riding brigade this weekend, and
That's great.
yeah, it was awesome.
I love that.
My butt really hurts today.
The fact that we are doing children, Sarah.
Yeah,
kills
over to
me.
you.
I have a cold from my soon-to-be stepson, Swan. He had when I got here. Oh, the poor little guy.
Yeah.
We went and picked him up from school because the teacher phoned and just said this child is
Yeah,
suffering.
Miserable.
So we went and picked him up, and he just collapsed into Thordis's arms because he was just,
Aw.
you know, when you're really strong for as long as you can be, and then you see your mom. And but anyway, I got it from him. So
Yeah.
it's just, you know, when you're a person who's lived alone in the trees for many, many years, and you suddenly are around. So this is the
We've
second
both had
time I've
this.
been sick. No,
Yes.
from one of the children.
I feel
And,
I feel
Caitlin's like, I know.
it's the time-
Caitlin.
I'm like, I've had everything under the sun. I actually
Yeah.
think my immune system is finally catching up to the amount of illnesses I've had because we've dodged a few rounds of it. Like I am long overdue to be bedridden for a few days right now.
Don't say that.
It's true though. Like I just know the
Yeah.
cycles, right? And there's a spring thaw happening in Toronto. The kids are going to get sick at school. Like it's just going to happen. But
Yeah.
I will say that when you get sick from a kid, it is the sign of like you have some child love in your life because it means that they're close to you. It means they share their little germs
Yeah.
with you. They push their face into yours. Like it really is.
Oh God.
As hard as it is to be like, oh, I'm sick, I always think of it in like, this just means like there's a kid that really likes you. And that's so nice.
It comes to the territory. Thordis is like, that's what family is. You know,
It
you
is.
just get ill. Anyway, I feel like I'm going to get through this though. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm going to plow through because
You sound better
I
than
did
last time.
this. Do I?
You can expect, like pediatricians always say, between I think it's pretty much November, like the beginning of November, right out of the gate, all the way through to kind of the end of March. If you have like young school age children and preschool age children in your life, you'll be sick probably every 4 to 6 weeks at least.
And now my sister, because I did go to see her last Thursday, and we can talk more about
Okay.
that after on Patreon
Okay.
maybe. But
Okay.
now after norovirus, hand, foot, and mouth.
Yep.
Come on. Like
Yeah.
what?
How bad is it?
Charles Dickens is here
It's
alive
true.
today.
It's Dickensian.
I honestly, I don't know. She's having her baby like as we speak today. She's in the
Wait, does
hospital
she
for a
have
Having
it?
my
cesarean.
baby.
I'd never even heard the update. I know the kid confirmed, but she
Okay.
wasn't feeling amazing all weekend. Yeah.
Shoot. I mean, it is tough
Yeah.
because like Will had what they said was one of the worst looking cases of hand, foot, and mouth they've ever seen at the daycare last year,
Yeah.
and I didn't catch it, but I have friends who caught it. And the annoying thing about hand, foot, and mouth, bear in mind, you can get it over and over and over again. There is no immunity.
Yeah.
You'd think because it's like gross sores, they're like, oh, well, I get it once and then I'm immune after that. Nope. And there's a new couple strains every year. So
Jesus Christ.
it's one of noro and hand, foot, and mouth. If I hear about it, I hear one person has it at daycare, I am like marathon running to daycare to pull Will out in advance because like our household can't take it. It's too much.
And now, without any further ado, Caitlin Green and the Scroll.
So the situation in Iran is the biggest story happening, I think, probably around the world right now. I'll try to keep it focused on Canada specifically because there's so many moving pieces to this. But I think the biggest thing that happened was Sunday. There was a call between Donald Trump and our PM, Mark Carney. Apparently, the call seemed to be like pretty bog standard, and they're just trying to stay focused on efforts to protect Canadians in the region. They're saying Canada's saying that we're working with our partners to de-escalate the conflict. I don't know what that means, but the statement that the PM released just after that was that Canada was not consulted, did not participate, and has no plans to participate in the offensive actions against Iran that are being undertaken by the U.S. and Israel. So this really does feel increasingly like the kind of thing that allies are going to be pulled into kicking and screaming, if at all. I think it's like largely quite unpopular, and immediately it's costing everyone more money because oil prices are going up. So obviously the Middle East, oil region, Strait of Hormuz, you're going to hear all about these things all over the news. So you're going to see oil, I think it reached the highest it's been in the last 4 years, probably since the conflict in Russia with Ukraine kicked off. And so now oil prices are going up. Also tons of fertilizer from the Middle East. So food, people are talking about food prices, like things that were already very top of mind for everybody, like affordability and food affordability, they've kind of like resurfaced as it connects to this story. And I do want to add that Canada has probably one of the largest Iranian diasporas in the world. So there's a lot of people who are from Iran and have close family members there. If you have an Iranian in your life, check in, ask how they're doing. There's been incidents, safety related incidents that have popped up here in the GTA. There will continue to be like, higher alerts going on for police forces. So yeah, if you have some friends, that fall into this category, I would just say check in and see how they're doing because it's really a rough time for them. Now, to counterbalance this with some good financial news, the average rent in Canada has fallen to a 33-month low as of last month. This is for the first time in 6 years. Canadians are now spending less than 30% of their income on rent. That is truly how unaffordable it was to be here. And it's not just like smaller markets, it's like Toronto and Vancouver. Like the two most expensive housing markets in the country are seeing this big drop. And I kind of like that. Vancouver is still the most expensive. Like I think people sometimes think it's Toronto, but it's still Vancouver. And a lot of people are renting. And if you're thinking about renting, you're thinking about moving, some people, they downsize and they say, I don't want to own anymore. I'm going to sell my house and I'm going to rent. I don't want to deal with the management of it. It is a really good time to do that because there just seems to be this perfect storm of like more supply than there is demand. And so I think the market's going to continue to like plummet for people. So that's good news. And then on the entertainment front, Timothée Chalamet, my God, I need someone to sit down with him. Maybe his mom, because his mom was a ballerina. His grandmother was a ballerina. And for some reason, he was doing one of these, Hollywood roundtable talks with Matthew McConaughey. He is in the lead up to the Oscars, which are happening this Sunday night. And he is up for Best Actor for his role in Marty Supreme. And somehow he was... Yeah, you didn't. Okay, we'll talk about that. But he said that he felt like he wanted to be a part of movies and he wanted movies to still be enjoyable and that he wants people to go to them and he doesn't want them to fall into this category of people feeling like we have to save movies. We have to save the movie industry because no one's interested in it anymore. And then he cites like opera and ballet, basically. That was to paraphrase what he said. So all these artists, like even pop artists like Doja Cat comes out, everyone starts saying, why are you picking on opera and ballet when your A, mom and grandmother were involved in the ballet in New York? And B, when these are like art forms that inspire so many people and are so creative and wonderful, like, and maybe are a lot better than Marty Supreme, Jan. So that's why
Hated it.
Well, you didn't like it?
No. It's about ping pong. His character is so unlikable. I would punch him if I met him in real life in the throat.
In the
Just
throat.
a bad dude. He
bad guy.
impregnates this poor girl. She's no prize either, but he is just like,
Okay.
hello, the patriarchy is alive and well. No, it's not for me. Don't watch it. Don't waste your
Okay.
time. That's my opinion.
All right.
Thank you.
That was a scroll.
We're going to take a really, really short break. And when we come back, we are going to be interviewing the one, the only crime sensation novelist. The novelist crime sensation, the woman who writes novels and she's a sensation. All of those things. Lynda La Plante is up next. Without any further ado, the Jann Arden podcast, we have an extraordinary guest today. Lynda La Plante is a crime writer, and she's been doing it for decades. She has worn many hats over the years, a producer. She has opened her own production company. She was an actor and a very highly trained actor at the Royal Academy. She's been awarded everything you can possibly imagine to do with her crime writing. She's had such great success in movies, on television, Prime Suspect in particular. All of you guys who are crime junkies from the 90s, I think Prime Suspect set the tone for crime dramas going forward. Without any further ado, this is a woman that has sold millions and millions of books. This is a brand new series that she is starting now called Scene of the Crime. Without any further ado, Lynda, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, and I'm very proud to be here.
Listen, tell me where this all began for you. I have read many of your books. I was lucky enough to read your memoir, and I was fascinated with your childhood. And if we could just start there and where this bug for your creativity began.
I don't know. I remember as a child writing plays. And my father used to carry around in his wallet a scrap of paper to show people, as it was very humorous to him, that he had a daughter that couldn't spell. And he said, it was virtually, this is a play what I wrote. But I remember one incident very, very clearly. I had a friend, and sometimes it's so bizarre that you clearly remember names, and her name was Jane, and Jane Maxwell Brown was her name. And she said, oh, my mother is doing a show at the church hall, and they've got all the costumes at the house. And it was a bit like, that scene from E.T. when they're on their bike with the baskets and E.T.'s. We're off to Jane Maxwell's house. We gather all these costumes for this production of Carousel, and we get them all back to my garage. And, we were tiny. I was a devil with a pair of scissors. I cut off sleeves, cut off hoods, and Jane Maxwell Brown's mother called my mother and said, is Jane with Lynda? And my mother said, I think so. They were in the garage. She said, they wouldn't have some costumes, would they? It's just that we have a dress rehearsal tomorrow. So my mother said, well, I'll just go and check. And it was like watching the Seven Dwarfs in these elaborate, wonderful costumes, all cut off at the knee and the elbows. And my mother nearly had a heart attack. And apparently they sat up all night resewing the sleeves. But after that, there was no question of showbiz. I was forbidden.
It's just something that gets into your blood. And do you think you are a trained actor, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, no less. And obviously, it might have been frustrating perhaps for you to not see the roles for women back, a few decades ago that maybe prompted you to go, damn it, I can write this myself.
Sort of, but it was a long process before that. In fact,
yes, absolutely.
As early damage was as to understand what the theatrical business is like, even a drama school, that in the Royal Academy, you're dependent on that last show after your 2 years of training. they put on a play in the massive Vanbrugh Theatre, which is the size of a West End theatre. That theatre will be full of casting agents, producers, directors. You can be from a student, 18, 19 years of age, plucked out of drama at school straight into a movie. So when those scripts go up for the play and your part, you can hear it's like cattle running to see what part they're playing.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a great part, you could be chosen very quickly into a movie. My character was called Sister Teresa. She was 78 in the first act and aged 10 years by the second act. I mean, there was like talk about depression and disappointment. There was no question of me ever being chosen as a young actress because I was playing this ancient nun. And I don't know how and when I worked on it. I didn't and don't recall ever actually plotting it out. But I rehearsed as this very elderly nun with a crochet set they gave me to work on. And I was always at the back of the stage, and being very quiet. And my one scene in Act One, the Mother Superior, the doorbell clanged in the chapel. And she said, "Sister Teresa, would you please answer the door?" My part was, "Yes, Mother." Get up, go out, open the door, come back and say, "It's the doctor." And her next line is, "Do show him in." "Yes, Mother." That was it for the first act. And when she said, "Sister Teresa, would you answer the door?" it took me about 5 minutes to get out of my chair. I was not only arthritic, but I had obviously some great major shaking problem that took me so long to get to the door. I got an applause on my exit. I got a cheer when I came back and she said, "Let them in," because there was nothing they could do in that. But they had no lines. So they had to wait for me to totter back in. And at the interval, the director said, "I've worked at the Royal Academy for 20 years, and I have never, ever seen such an appalling production. You should be ashamed of yourself." I said, "Wait till you see me in Act Two."
Well, you obviously know how to take advantage of a moment and have all eyes on you, and you have done that your entire career. Fast forward, a litany of things happen. We would need a show 6 hours long, but you had massive breakthroughs in the 80s. And I'm so torn of where to start. I want to talk about Widows, but I want to talk about just your writing prowess and the confidence and bravado you had going into Prime Suspect and what that was like getting that show made. And you knew exactly who you wanted to star in that production.
Yeah, I wanted an actor, that they, to begin with, when they were casting, they threw all kinds of names at me and I kept saying no. And really, this part of what really infuriates me now, they do cast so young. You have,
Yeah.
high-ranking detectives played by a 22-year-old. It's impossible.
Impossible. Yeah.
And to actually maintain the right age and have an actor like Helen Mirren. But, the extraordinary thing is, when I brought up her name, it was, "Oh, yes, but what TV has she done?" And I said, "She's done movies. She's a great actress. She works at the Royal Shakespeare Company." I said, "She's an actor." And it's like, "Oh, yes." Well. But nowadays, if you look what they've started doing, they can't put an actor by their name alone. They've got to say previously in something.
Yeah.
As if you cannot judge as a viewer talent. And it is so frustrating. But back then, I mean, it was appalling. But I could only be as strong and determined about what I wanted was because of the way I work. And that is, I found a detective, female detective, high ranking. I found her. I worked neck and neck with her. She put me through an awful lot of trauma, particularly on the script. She sometimes read it and go, rubbish, 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 go for the jugular. Go on, attack, attack. And over and over again, when you move into production, as you well know, it's so many people suddenly come on board, and because of working alongside the police and forensic for so long, I would not accept who they were offering me. Over and over again, I said no. And one day they rang me and they said, because also the other conclusion I came to understand is they don't read the script. They thumb through it.
Yeah.
They think, they don't actually pay much
Exactly.
attention to it. So they rang me one day and they said, we found your killer. Wonderful actor. And in those days, they used to have a thing called Spotlight with all the actors' names in it and photographs, and it would put agent, age, hair color, stuff. So I said, what's his name? So they gave me his name, and I thumbed through my Spotlight. And when an actor says he's 5'7", he's probably 5'4". They always lie about everything. And so I ran in because I knew this actor was short. And so I ran into the studio and I said, okay, look, I know he's quite a good actor, but if he can carry me over his shoulder down the corridor, then he has the part. And they said, why? What? I said, that's how the killer moves the bodies. I said, he's got to be very strong. He's a big man. Actually, in the script, he discusses his workouts and his gym. And so they said, oh, and very quickly they said, well, we don't think this will work. And at long last, they actually found the actor that was 6'2" and could carry a victim and be truthful and believable. And that was the biggest aim, to always be the truthful one. If you tell the truth and it is true and it is truly written, it bounces off the script. In my humble
But let's talk
opinion.
about the. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'd love to talk to you about your writing. Obviously, you've sold millions of books over the years, and you keep coming up with these diabolical plots and these characters and people that are so memorable. What is your work ethic like? You are so prolific, and this is going back so many years, Lynda, and still, here you are at 82 years old, one of the most prolific crime writers in the world.
Yeah.
And it is so impressive. Like I talk to Nigel obviously every day, and when he just talks about how hardworking you are, where do you draw your inspiration from?
Real life.
Yeah.
It's so inspirational. I say, if you read the paper, the danger is if you take it from real life, that an awful lot of other writers do the same. So you have to dig and go under and find out. But if something doesn't interest you, I could not do every book, every play, every TV if I wasn't fascinated. Something always has to fascinate me. If it's art, then I'll go. And, to actually learn something from each book and everything I write, I am like educating still. And that part of it excites me. Sadly, I would love to write a very sexy, body-ripping love yarn. Not allowed to. No. She's got to write crime.
Like a 50 Shades type of thing?
Oh, yes.
A crime version
I'd
of
like
50
to
Shades?
I'd like to have a go at that, but no, you can't. You've got to write. You're a crime writer.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating because I'd really like to write a bonking book because I'm very careful with bonking in my crime books, because I do find it so annoying when I'm reading a really good story and then suddenly, oh God, they've got a bonk now. This is really tedious sex scene. But if you're going full out, but I wouldn't be allowed to, I don't think. Then probably if I did, they say she's gone senile. Can't do it.
Do you think it
No.
would be different if it if it were a man, writing your books? Do you think that narrative would be different? Like, hey, yeah, let's see that. It's a very good point that you make, that as a woman, you don't feel like that's part of something that you could include in your stories, because you're so known for a certain kind of crime dramas. Is that sort of
Yeah.
what you're saying?
I think the most male crime writers are pretty well the same. They don't suddenly introduce, a love angle or a great, love interest, because you've got to knock them off or murder
Right.
them. But it's either way. It's you've also got to say, listen, they pay me. That's my commission. That's where I earn my living. So if that, they'll say, no. And sometimes to find out when they do these age kind of surveys, and you find out how
Yes.
old your readers are, and you think, oh, are they? And then a lot of women read crime, lot of women. And it's like they're always asking you to move towards a young audience. Can you get a young audience? Can you? And you go, well, give me a chance. Let me do a body ripper, and I will. But no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm waiting, though. I'm poised. I'd like
I'm
to do a
throwing it over to
historical one.
Caitlin. Oh my God, I would love. I would read anything that you wrote, but yeah, historical crime. Lynda, that would be amazing. I'm going to let Caitlin ask a question, because I always kind of hog the entire podcast. I'm the only person asking questions. So, Caitlin, over to you.
Well, just to finish, Lynda, your thought on doing a bodice ripper, maybe just do write it under a pen name. And then no one will attach your crime history to it. And you can come up with like a sexy pen name, although your name already feels like it should be part of like romance as well. But anyways, my question for you is really about discipline. So continue. Sorry.
It is. It is. I mean, very interesting, when I do book signing events, and so you have somebody asking all the questions. And this journalist was asking me about my memoir. And he said, I noticed in your memoir that you really don't say an awful lot about your husband or describe a lot about him. And I went, yes, absolutely. Sod him. Of course I didn't. But he said, but you do claim over and over again that the only decent thing he ever gave you was your name. And I said, yes. And then I changed the subject. 2 days later, in the diary of a big national paper in England, the Daily Mail, it says Lynda La Plante has been quoted as saying that the only decent thing her husband gave her was his name. Unfortunately, we couldn't verify this because he died 2 months ago. And that was, can you imagine a shock? And you think, what to say? Well, he didn't tell me. Nobody told me. And it was such a shock, because the realization of those years I spent with him, 20 years is a long time. And of course there were extraordinary funny times. But I don't know, that inference and that invasion into you is something that I've always detested. That the more public you become as a writer, well, you must know, Jane. I mean, you must know, Jann, what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, they will invade you and be unaware of the damage and the pain they can cause. And I'm so private. So my memoir, I thought, there's only a few times I kind of throw a bit of dirt at a few people, because
Yes.
I am very private. My life is very private. I like it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question really also too is about discipline, because we've had so many talented authors on the show, and I think to Jan's point earlier, probably not as many, if any, as prolific as you are, just in terms of the volume of your work. I mean, the sheer amount of writing that you've done is so impressive, and I think it really speaks to the discipline, likely of you just being able to sit down and finish something, which I think a lot of people struggle with. So I'm just wondering if you have any advice or insight on your like schedule of when you're writing something and working on something. Can you sit down and go through, 3-4 hours at a time? Do you have to go to a different part of the house? Like how does that work for you?
I get up and have breakfast, and I'll go straight to work. I am so prolific because I spend so many hours mentally going through the plot. I won't
Mm.
actually begin rolling the story until I know almost every inch of it. And then you can
Wow.
and you can insert everything. But I unfortunately have, such an obsession. I can work for 10 hours at a go and not stop.
Oh my God.
Because
Wow.
it's like I get into a race. And recently I had to do the last book in a series about a detective called Jack Wall. And he'd reached a point in the series of books about him where I'd been showing he's got a bad side. And it was getting a little bit worse. Each book, it's there. It's underwritten, but it's there. And so then my publisher said, he's got to go and you've got to kill him. And I often think if there was a camera where I work, I think people would freak because I'm talking away to myself. I'm crying. I'm laughing. And it's like that train starts and I've got to get through it and got to finish it. Because a big note for writers is I can pick up a book and halfway through, I'll tell you, you're losing the plot. You've lost it. Because they know where they are halfway through. And then in come, maybe I should make the villain the next door neighbor, not the woman. So they're changing, and you can feel that they're moving their plot. They're slightly out of sync. And it is so annoying because often you've got that problem in the middle of a book and in your middle of your book where that is where you're going to powerhouse forward, not hesitant. But also it's they throwing in the victim's killer. And the last few pages goes, Auntie What's-it did it. And you go, oh no, get out, throw it away. Creating crime from chapter 1 to the last chapter is you have to be ahead of your reader. You have to give them the clues, but they should be so well buried and clever. If they've got you by chapter 3, you might as well not finish the book. You have to be very creative in your writing and keep the pace up. Over and over again, you see crime novels fall down by midway. They've gone. They've lost it. And the old timers, when you read the old time crime writers of the old days, Raymond Chandler, characters, really incredible characters he creates. Wonderful characters. He's my favorite crime writer. And I think that's very, very important. But for me, my characters are always based on reality. Someone I know. If I haven't met them in prison, if I haven't read about them, I will hunt them down. And that's part of the enjoyment to me of writing. It isn't, 24/7 of the computer. I'm out because you can get the world and everything you need off your internet, but you don't get anecdotes. You don't get, and so by interviewing the real people, you get more. They will give you more and more and more. Then you may have all the research in front of you, but it's flatlined. And
Yeah.
the more you go out, and double check your facts, you come back and you've got another quality. And it's very interesting to think that when I was an actor, I played more prostitutes in virtually every single crime show that was ever on TV. I am there as a prostitute, falling out of cars. Hello, love, coming my way. Everything. When I wrote Widows and introduced,
Which is brilliant, by the way. Absolutely brilliant.
I went and talked to the hookers. I sat with them in cafes, and I suddenly realized I'd only scratched the surface of those characters. And that, as an actor, I thought, oh, I know. Hello, love, are you all right? A lot more than that. There's a depth to them. And so that's the way I've always worked on every single thing I've ever written. And I don't think there's a character that I couldn't say, come with me, I'll show you. I remember in Prime Suspect, Zoe Wanamaker played the girlfriend of the killer. And she said, she's a wonderful actress. And she said, I'm unsure. I don't know. I said, come with me. You can watch her. I said, don't go up to her, but watch her. And she was a makeup artist in a very big department store behind the counter. And I said, there she is. There she is. Watch her. And she stood, and you could see she was like, because the way she was speaking, oh, lovely, that's very nice, darling. Lovely nails, yes. Would you like a pinker colour to your face? There was this cloying. And I said, she's also got a red fox fur coat. That was it. As soon as she put that coat on, she said, got her. And those little
that makes a big difference.
anecdotes, yes,
Yeah.
they really add so much to your work, I think.
I really want to, on that note, Jessica Russell is the newest character because this is a brand new series from you. The first book, Scene of the Crime, we have chosen as our book club, Lynda, for this month. So that's what our readers are digging into right now. So we're very excited about that. But Jessica Russell is an experienced CSI, and she's got degrees in psychology and criminology. And she's just got this exceptional professionalism about how she looks at behavioral analysis. Can you talk to us a little bit about this character and this new series that you've embarked on?
Jessica is really, she could be quite tedious as a person. In fact, there's a little bit of know-all about her. And she tries not to, but she can't stop it. She is a know-all. And it's very awkward for her because she sees things that other people don't see. And it's like watching. Now, why have I got that quality? Why? When you watch heightened forensic experts looking at a blood splatter, it's extraordinary, their attention and their absolute focus. And I noticed that all the forensic scientists I've been working with had an ability of such stillness when they take in a scene. There's no, oh God, it's terrible. Oh no, watch them take it in. So fast how they can say as a clue that don't move that carpet, there's something underneath it. Don't touch that. Leave that. So that your crime scenes are really, really sacred to scientists now. Whereas the police, used to put their fag ends into their pockets. They were always smoking cigarette ash everywhere, footprints over the prodding the deceased. Now, they're mostly keep out of the crime scene because the content they find. And Jessica is not only aware of the content, but she's a psychologist. And you go, how does somebody gain all that experience? And she's gained it through pain. So she's had in her life a number of traumas that have marked her. She's slightly marked. She had an assault, and my favorite line in the book is, watch her interview her assailant. This is a boy that traumatized her. She was training as a probation officer, and this young boy was trusting. She was trustful for him. She really liked him. She was encouraging him. Then he goes for her. He attacks. And he is a repellent human being. He's just gone off the rails since then. But she has a sequence where she wants to draw absolutely extraordinary evidence that he didn't commit a crime. And you see the way she very, very carefully teases out the truth from him. And he is so taken and so emotionally charged that she's done this for him. When she gets up to go, he reaches towards her to say, thank you. Now you hear her. And she says, don't touch me. And it comes right underneath, and it's like a punch. And you think, that's what she was feeling all the way through that interrogation. That was, she was able to disguise that. And that is her power. She is a very, very clever actor, really. And, you know, she sometimes even has to tell herself to take it easy, don't snap, don't be, because she is very aware. And to have climbed that high up in her career, she faces, and it's hard to believe that we're still facing opposition from male counterparts. Yeah.
Is Jessica Russell someone that you've based a real person on as well, Lynda?
She's a multiple. She's three.
Three people.
She's three people. Because it would be a little bit off if I based her entirely on one so that they would be identified.
Is it daunting to think, I mean, this is a series, excuse me, this is a series. So you've got other books that you are going to be writing, or probably have already started
Yes,
on this series. And I wanted to ask you, obviously forensic clues have changed so much over the last 30 years. I mean, the science has changed so much. And as a writer, it must be so daunting to keep up with the procedures and the science. And you obviously do your groundwork because you have adapted like so well to an ever-changing, like all the CSI shows and the lengths they go to extract DNA, and like you were saying, I mean, it's got to be so much work for you to do that.
It is, but I've always found that when I keep on saying go to source, I have never had a scientist say, look, I haven't got time to talk to you. No, I don't. Ever. I've never, ever met one single scientist that said no. And if you're now looking at the advancements of DNA, that you can take a cold case of 40 years and still gain a result with familial DNA where they can trace family backgrounds. And it's also becoming harder to write because the public are all watching every single crime show. They're ahead of you. They go, oh no. So sometimes in a trial, you'll actually see, you know, a couple of the jury think, well, they should have got there by now. It's, you know, a bit slow. Haven't they got DNA? And it's extraordinary how our public are really advanced. They watch everything. They know everything. And so you have to keep up in your game. And if you don't up it and learn more, because the moment I am bored is the moment I'll stop. The moment I find that
I was just
boring-
going to say, are you ever going to just put your feet up and have a gin and tonic and just say, I'm done now. I've written dozens and dozens of extraordinarily successful books, and I'm going to take a break. You seem so driven.
No, the gin and tonic's always there, but I don't see the feet going up quite yet. But that's the moment. It's just that, I mean, why do you get driven by something? Why? So art, I look at a painting and I ask, how can a 29-year-old American street kid who dies of a heroin addict, of a heroin overdose in 1985, how does his painting now make 100 million, selling for 100 million? How? Why? What happens to his paintings? How prolific was that boy at that young age? And so that starts me off on a kick, because I didn't know this artist's work. And when you suddenly, and so another novel is about faking art. And it is so funny sometimes faking art. It's like, recently at the National Art Gallery, a very young woman looked at the Samson and Delilah by Rubens and said, "That's a fake." Excuse us, it's not. We paid 1.8 million for this 8 years ago. It is a fake. And you go, wow, look at that. It's so exciting. So you have all these people that can tell you, well, no, the brush strokes are different here and all this, but it's a fake. And that is something that fascinates. So that's my new obsession, fake art.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, art is it's permanent, and you leave such a legacy. Do you ever think about that, Lynda, of what you leave behind you? I think your parents would be terribly proud of the work that you've done, excuse me, and that you continue to do. I think you're so inspiring, because I feel like so many women get to a certain age and they feel invisible. And they feel like they don't matter and that they shouldn't be trying things. And I think you defy that notion constantly. And you have always, at every age, Lynda, have pushed back, whether you're starting a new television series or a new book series. You have been such a force. And I'm wondering how you perceive yourself, in the industry of a whole. You've done so much for so many hundreds of women in that industry.
You do, but you get, I get details and help from all the people that I use for my work. And I do it out of respect. I respect every single person, be it a prisoner, whatever, that give me their time and their expertise. I respect them. There is very little respect in the industry that I'm involved in. You may get an award here and you may get an award there, but actually the physical respect is not really very positive. And I want to show you something, if I've got it. I don't. I was sent a book by my publishers. So they sent me this book and they said, would you write what's it over it? A blurb over the front. I said, yes, of course. So I read this book and it blows my head off. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this has got to be a really young person writing this. This has got to be so young. I look at the title, her name is Mary Tierney. I thought, God, she's so young. And it's called Deadly Animals. And so I rang the publishers and said, look, I want to do a byword. And they said, what do you want to say? I said, would you say I would like to have written this book? And they said, are you serious? I said, yes. They said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. 55-year-old woman, first book. Never written a thing before. And it's so exciting to me to say, my God, age don't matter. Look at that.
Yes.
Her first book is so exciting. And that is the biggest thing I can do, is encouraging to be less fearless. And I always say, don't keep going back over first, second chapters. keep going, keep going,
Keep
keep going
going.
till you finish it. And then get a lawyer. That's a very big thing. Get a lawyer. But reality is, you know, I am very fortunate to enjoy what I am doing and to be at this
It
age and
shows.
still capable of doing it. You know, any time. Now, and the other day I had to go to the doctor's, a surgeon, for to have a test done, and I am completely dyslexic. I am the worst person. I can never remember a phone number, any number. And I had to fill out this report and hand it to him. And he said, "Thank you so much. May I say, you are remarkable. I really, really, you are wonderful." I said, "Oh, thank you very much. Thank you." He said, "No, at 95 to keep working." Why I put 95, I don't know.
Jesus. Slow down, mister. I'm not 95. Well, listen, you have done it all, but obviously you've not done it all. An Emmy winner, BAFTA, you know, the British Academy of Film and Television gave you the Dennis Potter Award for television writing. I mean, it just goes on. Order of the British Empire. It just goes on, and you are unbelievably inspiring, Lynda. You're a fiercely talented woman in everything that you put your hand to. I just want to remind everyone, all of our listeners, that Scene of the Crime is the book bag book this month. It is an extraordinary new series by Lynda La Plante. And yes, her long deceased husband did give her that name, but you know, she gave him a lot too. She lets this man live on, for God's sakes. His family should be kissing her feet. I can't wait to see what comes next. Thank you for being so up for coming on our podcast today. You are extraordinary, and just bravo. Thanks for trudging through the snowbanks for the rest of the 55-year-old women coming in behind you, feeling like they can do it. Lynda La Plante has been our guest today on the Jann Arden podcast. Thank you so much, Lynda, and we hope you'll come back and see us again.
Thank you very much indeed. I've loved it. Thank you.
Lynda La Plante, thank you so much. That was such a funny, warm conversation. We hope you guys enjoyed that. And as always, we're going to be listening to some voice notes, and hopefully we have some this week. Sarah?
Yes, we do.
Hi, Jan. It's Teresa McIntosh Bass from the smallest province in Canada, which is Prince Edward Island. Just want to let you know that I've been a big fan of yours since you started singing, and I'm 69 years old. I'll be 70 next March, 69 this March. I've seen you live in concert many times. I've watched every show, every documentary, anything you're on, I watch. Anyway, just want to say it's lovely to be able to see what you're up to now that you have your podcast going, and very happy for you. And you finally found your person. I lost my person 6 years ago. He was in the Canadian military. So it's been a lonely old road, but thanks to my grandkids and my kids. That keeps me going. Anyway, live life to the fullest. That's my motto. Love you lots and keep on doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it so much. It's just very kind. And yes, it's hard to lose people. And thank God for young people. Caitlin can attest to that. And now Sarah and me, we can all say they keep you hopping and they keep your nose plugged with snot. So, you know, these are our children.
Her accent, warms my heart.
It's wonderful.
Oh, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jan, Sarah, Caitlin, Kelly from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. I just finished your podcast, and I wanted to share a couple family dynamics that I've been dealing with my whole life. Almost 50 this year. When I was in grade 6, my mother got married while I was at school, and I didn't even know she was getting married. I didn't know the gentleman she was marrying, and this was her third marriage. My birth father remarried and didn't invite me to his wedding either. I was about 8, probably about that time. And he had 2 girls with his wife, And my half-sister got married last year, and I wasn't invited.
Jeez.
Starting to get a complex about not being included in weddings.
You're saving a lot of money, though.
But it's been something I've had to deal with. My mother has since passed on, so I laugh about it now when I tell people stories of my upbringing. But I just want to thank you all for sharing your life. Jann, a few weeks ago you mentioned the change of life. Boy, did that bring back some memories. My grandmother used to use that term all the time. Here I am now going through the change of life. Full menopause over here at 50.
Oh, God.
You got this.
But I just want to share that I love you all and thank you for giving me such joy every weekend. I look forward to it. And I was doing some budgeting and I had to cut back on my Patreon, but I am still a $5 member.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Thank you. That means so
Compromise.
much. And I know there's so many things to spend money on, but I'll tell you what, we appreciate it so much. And we're just going to make sure that we keep doing fun, content that brings joy and makes you think about, the old days and the new days and all the positivity that's out there. We really want to tap into that too. So thanks so much for your note. Appreciate it.
And Kelly, it sounds like that would be an interesting book because, like, everything you've gone through, that's a lot, and you sound pretty damn good considering. So
Yeah.
maybe turn it into something. Who knows? Okay, we have a couple more here.
Oh,
Well,
Hi, Sarah, Jan, and Caitlin. It's Karen from Halifax here. Well, the latest podcast hit on the mark for me in regards to sleep. My Fitbit smartwatch, where I do track my sleep, classifies me as the giraffe sleeper. A giraffe sleeper is quick to get into a REM state, but like the real giraffe animal, we have shorter yet deeper sleep periods and early wake-ups. That's me. For example, last night I slept 3 hours, 6 minutes with a sleep score of 72, and I wake up very early. Great tips, though, from Alana, and I will try to adapt a few. Also, just started checking out her podcast episodes of the Bedtime Edit, Sarah, on your network.
Yay.
Appreciate Alana being on again. Our book bag's new pick by Caitlin Vigil by George Sanders, I'm just getting into. Doing the Audible download again as I have credits there. It's narrated by a whole cast this time. Can't wait to get further into this book about the soul ushering of the main character, dying tycoon KJ Boone. The ensuing book bag discussion will be lively, I am sure. Come on over and join us, podcast listeners, if you're not a member yet. It's a casual, friendly format and community, with the discussions being amazing and diverse. As always, love hearing about the love and joy in all your lives in Toronto and Iceland. Oh, also hoping the Easter Bunny may spur a Will cameo, Caitlin.
yes.
Easter egg fun is an event he enjoys. Steady on, lovelies. Take care.
thank you so
Aw,
much.
so
That
nice.
was lovely. My God, do we owe her
Should
money?
we pay her?
I was
know.
just gonna
I'm
say,
like,
I love
she's
Karen
our
from Halifax.
she is our PR go girl.
And
She really
I will be
is.
doing something for Easter for Will. My mom made such a big deal of Easter for me as a kid, and so I go over the top. So we will do something.
My
we
mom
need-
did too.
Mhm.
Do we
Basket,
need to do?
bas-
Do we need to do Easter things, Jen?
Yes.
I mean, I say
Okay.
yes.
You crazy? Are
Caitlin,
you
we're
crazy?
coming. Okay.
No, there's got to be a goddamn basket.
Yeah, I go to a
Okay.
parade. I go to the beach's Easter parade. He gets a little outfit and a basket. We do an egg hunt. Like, I go crazy, but I love holidays.
Thanks to all our callers who left us voicemails. And of course, to all of you guys who are going to be joining us on the other side of this with Patreon. We're going to explain the dinner table test on the Patreon. And I can't even tell you any more than that, but that's what we're going to be doing. And
It's going to tell you whether or not
yeah.
you should quit your job. I'm going to give everyone the test. So if you're thinking about that, I know it's really, really good. I think this dinner table
Okay.
test could be applied to many other things, but think about it for work.
If I'm not
Okay.
here next week, you know exactly what happened.
She failed the test. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on your favorite streaming platforms. We love getting your voice notes. Don't forget to let us know what you're thinking about, what you're concerned about. If you have any comments on any of the shows, we're always so happy to hear from you. Until next time, from Caitlin Green, Sarah Burke, and I'm Jann in Iceland. We'll see you next time. Toodly-doo.